everybody. Welcome. What a special afternoon. It's been quite a while since we've done our last channeling for charity, maybe 3 or 4 months. But I'm so excited because we have the largest turnout ever and the largest donation ever, thanks to you. 1,500 people registered, a very important cause this time for raising awareness and support for NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, on mental illness. And I just want to get right to the main point of today before the channeling starts, and that is spreading the love with your contributions. What a community we have here together. We couldn't have done this without the whole group synergy. And I'm so pleased that we have a senior executive from NAMI here to accept your contribution and to tell us a little bit about their important work and what your money is going to go towards. I want to bring in Bill Lindsay, from the Executive Director of South Carolina's branch of NAMI. Bill, all you have to do is talk and you'll be highlighted on the screen, but welcome and thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Suzanne, and thank you for having NAMI here. I want to thank all of the folks that are out there for their contributions to charity. And in this case, it's NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. For those that don't know us, we are the largest grassroots nonprofit for the improvement of the lives of those with mental illness and their families. And we do that primarily through education, support, and advocacy. And we have 10 affiliates around our state. We have organizations, I guess, around the country. We're the NAMI South Carolina. We really do work with folks that are either have a loved one that has a mental illness or the family support themselves. We do support groups throughout our state, both for those with an illness and for those that are a family member supporting someone with that. We do all of our signature programs here in South Carolina. Some of you may have known of Family to Family. It's one of the programs that has been around for a while and is really, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if I hadn't done this some 20 years ago now. I've been with NAMI, I guess, since 2001, and I've been at the state office since 2005. But just a little bit about what we do. We not only do we do support groups and we do our signature programs, but we're also in the schools. We teach students that are in the middle school or in the high schools about symptoms to look for in mental illness and how to help themselves and how to see for each other and where to go to get help and to just to be able to take care of themselves. It's been a program that has gone extremely well for us, because it was really, we got into schools not because of the great work that I do or our team does, but it's because students wanted us in the school. And it wasn't the Department of Education, it was the students themselves. And then we were able to get a couple of grants to be able to go statewide. I think we're in every district in South Carolina with exception of 2, and that's a huge thing for us. We also we train law enforcement and first responders. We teach those folks in our training. We have a director from the academy that retired from the academy, and she was in law enforcement. And she talks about how to de-escalate situations involving those with someone that may be in the middle of psychosis or with mental illness. And there's a lot, and we bring in our people. We bring in people that are either family members or those that have an illness to be able to talk about those particular things, to be able to make sure that law enforcement knows what's going on, make sure that they know how to de-escalate that situation, not only for our folks that have mental illness or some anxiety going on, but for law enforcement to make them safe. And actually, this training can help in dealing with other situations that they deal with, not just the mental illness itself, but just to help them be able to de-escalate something that's going on in their community. That's a lot about what our core group is. I spend a lot of time at the State House. We try to get legislation passed that helps those with mental illness and their families. And When I go to the State House, I do not go as someone from a political party. I don't go as a Republican or a Democrat. I go as someone that's trying to get things better for those with mental illness and their families. And that primarily is how we get in a lot of doors, how we make a lot of friends, because the more you're able to tell your own story, it's amazing how many of those people have a family member or an illness themselves, or a friend, a loved one that, you know, really could use the help that we're doing. So basically, I think we're a good, very well-respected nonprofit in the country. And not only that, but it's I think it's something that we just have a passion to. All of the folks that we're in what we do have a serious passion for what we're doing and what we're trying to make happen. And so I hope you have a wonderful event today. I'm so thankful that you decided that NAMI was the organization that you wanted to do. And we are at NAMI, South Carolina. You can find out about us at NAMI.org or on one of the phone numbers that we could give. But that's really all I wanted to talk about. So thank you for having me. Thank you for your donations. I hope you have a wonderful event today.
Well, thank you, Bill. And don't go away, because we're about to announce the amount. But any time that we have one of these events, we always use something like Charity Navigator to check out, you know, how well respected the organization is. And NAMI across the board is right up there, close to 5 stars. So it's one of those wonderful organizations that's doing good work, and most of the money goes where it's supposed to go, which is beautiful. So this donation today is going to be shared a little bit. Some of it's going national, some of it's going to the state that we're in, but people are people all over. So just as long as it helps people, that's the bottom line. But thanks to all of you, I'm so pleased to announce this is the most money we have ever taken in for any of the charities that we've supported. And the total donations, if I had a drum, I'd give you a drum roll right now, $40,000.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, that's absolutely incredible. Wow.
It is absolutely
Wow.
incredible. We're thrilled beyond measure, and it couldn't have happened without this beautiful community we have. So what's really neat is that we just found out, didn't even know it, it's a spirit thing, that tomorrow is the start of National Mental Health Month in the United States. So we will get that check and get it in the mail tomorrow. How perfect is that?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic start to Mental Health Month. And thank you so much, Suzanne, and all the work that went into this and what you do. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you to the whole team. Thank you, Bill, for joining us. Have a great rest of the weekend. All right. Is that great or what? $40,000 just from our community here. It's just phenomenal. So how did this come about? Why that topic? We get emails all the time from people sharing their stories. And I received one from a gentleman in our community who asked me, what does Sanaya, my guides, what does Sanaya have to say about mental illness and depression? And I realized they rarely talk about that. And I thought, well, I could answer his question by going into meditation and getting an answer. We could go back in the archives, and Bev could look through all these transcripts and do a search for mental illness and depression. So I did take it into meditation one morning, and they didn't want to answer me right then. They said, we will channel this live for everyone. And I knew that, of course, we're going to do that to raise money for the same issue. That's a given. And so what's interesting is I realize I have very little awareness of mental illness or depression, no real personal family issues with it. However, it comes up in the vast majority of the readings I do. And as you all can imagine, so many of those who I connect with across the veil were touched with that. A very large percentage of the people that I connect with in the spirit world are there because they took their own lives, or it just comes up in the family members' lives here, depression and mental illness. So I was tempted the few times I went on NAMI's website, National Alliance on Mental Illness, to read all of the resources they have there, to get smarter about mental illness. And each time there was this this stopping feeling that I had, that my guides didn't even want me to be influenced by anything that I read. They wanted to keep me in the blind so that everything that comes through today is just very naturally from them and not me feeling like I need to remember what I read on a website. Because I want you to understand that this is not going to be me talking today. Truly, I'm coming from, like when Spirit talks about religion, I can't speak very well educatedly about that, because it's just not my background. So this is not either. No training in that at all. And yet total trust in Sanaya for what they have prepared for us. And they always deliver their talks with a beautiful beginning, middle, and end, a beautiful flow, as you'll see. I know that several hundred of you just joined us at the last minute due to a poem that I got from the guys in meditation this morning that just showed the brilliance of them in putting me at ease, that I wouldn't be left hanging out to dry here when I go into meditation with, what are we up to now? Nearing 800 of you live with us now, and another 700 will watch it later, however many come in at the last minute. It's a big crowd, right? And I have no idea what's going to unfold, other than that I have never done this in over 12 years that it wasn't profound and beautiful with palpable energy for everyone. So I'm thrilled for all of us. It always feels wonderful for me. I'm kind of spacey for about a half an hour afterwards, but for you too, it's all about not only the information they share, but the experience. So I'd like you to make sure that you give this your full attention once they get going. Set your phone aside. Don't look at any other computer that might be open. Open your heart to the experience. Make sure you set aside distractions and truly take on board what they're saying. But it's helpful not to try to think it through, to rationalize it. Just see how it feels in your heart. Also pay attention to what you feel in your own energetic field. Do you feel like crying? Often that's a sign of the soul saying, this is important, pay attention. I'm glad you're listening. Do you feel tingling anywhere? Do you feel pressure in your head? That's going to be high energy building up. If it becomes uncomfortable, just say to your own guides, take that away, back it off, all right? I'm excited because I haven't done a channeling session in a while, other than at my monthly webinars, the monthly connection that I do every few months. Recently, I've done a little 5-minute channeling, and the group energy makes it so much easier for me. It's a totally different experience than when I talk to my guide Sanaya first thing every morning and get the Daily Way message that shows up on our Awaken Way app and on my website, because you all are adding your love and your energy to this experience, and it's felt by the whole group. So that in itself is a gift to all of us, but it's also why you are a helper to me. I have 4 beloved friends and my wonderful husband here in the room with me, and they are my battery chargers, but so are you. So you just turn up the love and send it towards me and towards everybody else in the group, and we all receive an upgrade, raising of our consciousness, a transmission of sorts, as the guides always tell us. So let me see. Oh, I wanted to share with you a magical moment. I will tell you that in addition to Ty and my wonderful neighbor Jan, who's here with us, Mike and Beth from my book, Wolf's Message, are here with me. Many of you have read that book, and they come up from Georgia to attend these events to add good energy. And on their way here, they stopped behind a car. The first thing they said when they came in the door was, you have to see the license plate of this car that we were behind. Most of you, if you follow my work regularly, you know that my favorite name for God, for source, is joy with a capital J. The license plate, and I now have a picture to prove it, that they stopped right behind on their way to this event was Joy Rocks. You can't make that stuff up, right? Yeah. So I know it's going to be a beautiful time. Let me make sure there was nothing else I wanted to talk about before we start. That's it. Other than that, I don't want to forget to do an invocation to bring us all together, to help us all get centered. Sanaya usually talks anywhere from 20 to 35 minutes. So that's what you can expect. I don't know if they're going to take questions. Bev is going to turn off the chat so that nobody's distracted and it doesn't distract you while they're speaking. I believe it's a respectful thing to Sanaya to not have that popping up on the screen. So just honor your guides also, who are going to do their best to help you hold the focus. But after I speak, she'll open up the chat again. And if while Sanaya is talking, they say we will take questions, there's a question box, I believe. Yeah, Q&A along the bottom of your screen. That would be the time to write in a question for Sanaya. And of course, they can't take very many, and Bev will use her intuition and her guide to choose what question to ask Sanaya. But I don't know if they will or not. But that's what we'll do. So if you hear them say, are there any questions, or we will take questions, very quickly write that in the Q&A box. All right. So Bev, now would be a good time to stop the chat. And why don't we all just join each other in getting centered? Just allow your eyes to close for a minute. Visualize yourself connected to the heavens and grounded way down into the center of the earth. The life force is flowing through all of us beautifully, breathing us all now. But why don't we breathe in that life force from above and below, as Wolf showed me. Pull it into your heart. And now exhale really slowly with the intention of fully relaxing. And please move your awareness to the heart area where every one of us has the soul's light, and turn it up like the sun and just send your rays outward to connect every one of us as one community. Come together here to celebrate the presence of spirit and to hear insights that we can benefit from. My guides, I'm here today to be the clearest possible voice for you. May I get out of the way more than ever before, utilizing this new level you've taken me to lately to truly capture your words in the exact way you want them shared with this group. May I completely set aside any of my human side so that spirit can flow fluidly through me. Everyone here can benefit from your words. May each person hear exactly what they need to hear, and may anything that this stirs up within them that is uncomfortable may be met by love and grace and be released and healed. So indeed, may each person here receive healing in some way by being present here, as we send so much gratitude for the group energy and for spirit's love. And so it is. Okay. High energy already. So I'm going to take a minute or so to go into a deeper state of awareness than when I normally do a reading. If I were to do a reading, I'd be ready and I'd just shift immediately. But I need to get my own human stuff out of the way enough so that when I know that Sanaya has fully merged with me and I open my mouth, they just run away with it and there's no filtering on my part. You may actually notice when they come in and merge with me. So it's always a fascinating process. Please help everyone by sending love, sending healing energy to the whole group and to me, that I can do my job today. All right. So I'll see you when they finish talking, and I thank you again so much for joining us today. So we are recording, just want to make sure of that, and I'll see you later. Here we go. Good afternoon. And there was a joke made earlier that this one is like a puppet on a string at times. And often she does say, if I am a puppet on a string, then pull my strings. And you would all be well advised to take this as advice for yourselves as well. When you come to trust how spirit can work through you, can speak through you, can make spirit's words your words, when you are willing to be an instrument of peace, an instrument of love, an instrument of healing. And is that not why you are here? And we are speaking not only in this moment at this event, even those of you who are not able to join us live, what this one says all the time is true. The energy of this group will always be present, no matter when you listen to this recording. But you are here not only for this event, but you are here in a physical body to be the presence of love, the purveyor of peace. And yet, so many of you do not experience peace. You experience ups and downs. This one, the medium, when she does readings, has a symbol that is shown on the screen of the mind, exactly like this, a wave that is higher and lower than normal. And that to this one is a sign that the one in spirit did suffer from a mental illness known as bipolar disease. And this is quite often the case with the spirit who comes through. Is there a one of you who is not accustomed to waves of energy that knock you off balance, that take you high and then drop you low? And much like the poem that we did give this one this morning in meditation, can leave you crashing against the shore where you are bruised and battered. There is not a one of you that has felt these strong waves. And yet there are many, many of you who suffer from these extremes for much longer periods than the majority. As we use this word, the majority, we bring to your imagery the symbol of a bell. You would understand this as yet another wave, the bell curve. And the ends represent the minority of humans. And of course, the middle, the majority. And what you have here in the case of mental illness is human behavior with the majority considered normal. And then at the ends, characteristics and behaviors which are not seen in the middle of the bell curve. And you call this mental illness when it is only because those who exhibit these patterns of behavior and thinking do not fall into the norm. And so you call this abnormal. And because of this abnormal label, it is quite easy to label those who are at the outer edges of what is all human behavior, all part of the wholeness. You call that bad, abnormal, not good, something to be shunned. We are quite pleased that there are organizations such as this one you are supporting today who are raising awareness of what you would consider a stigma, when to us, this is human behavior to at times act what you would call a bit crazy. Why is this? For it is not beneficial to the soul's growth. This is what we would like you to focus upon, for there is not a one of you present here, nor a one of you in a human body who has not at times felt a bit crazy. And we say this word with no disrespect meant. We say it for we know you understand that feeling of being off balance. Is there a one of you here who has not at one point wanted off the planet, as you say? And many of you do take into your own hands the ability to leave the planet. And we will tell you straight up, as you would understand it, that not a one of those souls is judged for their actions. There is tremendous understanding across the veil of the trials and tribulations of being a soul in a body, much like packing meat into sausage. You will understand a bit of humor, therefore we do want to keep this somewhat light, understanding that it is a very heavy, dense topic. All of you carry around fear that you might at times be abnormal, act abnormal, be shunned, be set aside. Heavens, there is such horror at the thought of being institutionalized. And many years ago, many of the institutions in this country were opened in an effort to be kind to those who were kept in a group for their safety and the safety of those around them. While there were good intentions with this, unfortunately for many who are now on the streets without aid, turning to drugs to find peace and freedom, this has had a deleterious effect, and a lot of finger pointing is going on. What we wish to engender in all of you today is to see in your fellow human beings the commonality of the human experience. Perhaps some of you are familiar with the phrase, "There but for the grace of God go I." Perhaps this is why so many feel fear, turn away, and shun those who are suffering. That could be me. What if it were me? And there are many who cannot even face the thought that it could be you, and yet underneath the surface, you know it could. Why is this? For you share one heart. You share a common soul. And while we speak of the soul, may we please tell you that the soul of every one of you labeled with mental illness, depression, or perfectly sane in someone else's judgment are completely whole at the soul level. The soul makes a willing choice to come into a physical body. In many cases, that soul knows that that body will have a bit of what we call poor wiring. There will be a chemical imbalance or a physical imbalance that causes that human being that arises from the soul to have what you label a mental illness. In our mind, to simply exist at the far spectrum of what is helpful human behavior. We say to that soul, are you sure you are ready to enter into this body, knowing the challenges you are going to take on? And the soul says, I am ready. Much like your athletes say, put me in, coach. Can you imagine a soul of your loved one who may have been labeled diseased, or one who has depression, who was so willing to take on this challenge? Why? For the greatest opportunities for all of you to make choices aligned with love, kindness, compassion, freedom, come when faced with a challenge. If you could skate through life smoothly with no bumps and no falls, what would be the point of this human experience? You are in relationships with others, for there is so often friction. What an opportunity to respond with love. What an opportunity to pay attention to your own thoughts, which leads us to the topic of depression. At times, yes, this is due to an imbalance in a physical body, but in many, many cases, it is the result of conditioned patterns of thinking. Many times, those with depression learn to think this way, picked it up from others around them. False thoughts about your own worth. We cannot state highly enough, you matter. Everything out of your mouth, everything out of your heart adds to the wholeness of the human experience. You may feel like a tiny grain of sand on that beach upon which you are bashed from time to time, but the beach cannot exist without the grains of sand. What do you think from moment to moment? I cannot stand this. Is this true? No. You are here for you have withstood the tests and trials of your life to this point. I am all alone. Is this true? Not at all. Our very presence here is meant to awaken within you the awareness that you are not only human. We are sending you so much love in this moment, imbuing you with the power of love, which is the strongest power that exists, which has the power to move mountains. This is what breathes you. You have so much more strength than you have ever imagined. You matter more than you have ever imagined. No wonder you are depressed when you forget this. You can feel in our words the power that breathes you. Breathe it in now. Carry it with you for the future challenges that every one of you will face, that every one of you, as the bravest of souls who took on a human body, agreed to. But why must I suffer? You ask, and you need not suffer. Pain is part of the human experience, but we are here to awaken you to the truth of your reality, that you are not only human, you are part of one web connecting all that is. And the healing and creative force of this universe and all that is love, not the human conditional type. If it were only the conditional human love, then you all would be in a state of depression all the time. You can hear our words with humor or irony. It is the divine unconditional type of love of which we speak. That is the healing force of the universe. And it is yours for the taking. So much more of this available to you than you know. And all it takes to end your suffering is, as we said in our poem this morning, to turn back, to turn away from the external world for but 1 minute each day and go within and pray. Oh God, oh Spirit, allow me to feel unconditional love. Allow me to know what I know my soul knows. I am so very loved. Please forgive me for ever thinking I was anything less than love. May this be your moment by moment prayer when depression threatens to overcome you. May, by the grace of Spirit and your own efforts working together, you come to know how loved you are. That pain is part of the human experience, but suffering truly is optional. And the suffering ends when you are willing to face the pain and ask it, what lesson does it bring you? What opportunity does it bring you? And we hear so many of you now in this gathering asking, how can I get my loved one who is depressed or suffering to understand this as well? For many of you understand these truths already, and you suffer because when you love is suffering. First and foremost, take care of yourself first. Give yourself the oxygen first. Give up the fear you hold for your loved one. That is the human side, with the strength that comes from owning the truth of who you are, a beautiful soul in a body. Go to your loved one who is suffering and imbue them with this love. Tell them, I love you dearly, but this is the path you have chosen. I am here for you. There are resources where you can find access to the soul, but you must do this for yourself. I will send you all the love in the world, but this is your path. May you find it by listening within. Are you beginning to catch on that, as one of your great teachers, one of the prophets known as Edgar Cayce said, everyone is slightly mentally ill compared to someone else. All of you are off balance from time to time. All of you have within you the capability of doing something drastic, and it frightens you to death. For you know this, and therefore judge not. And we say this with no righteousness and no judgment of you or your humanness. We simply know it goes with the territory. And therefore, when you see someone on the street clearly suffering, when you see one walking down the street shouting and acting abnormally, do not cross the street. Perhaps you may need to for your own safety, but as you do so, send them love. Know that by opening your heart, that vibration of acceptance and understanding is in itself the first step to healing. And then turn that energy around and soak it up yourself. For all are walking wounded. All are in need of healing. There is not a one of you that will not feel depression at some point. There is not a one of you who at some point has scared yourself with thoughts of leaving. And what is it that has kept you here? Thoughts of another who might suffer should you leave. Do you see why you are given relationship? Thoughts put in your head that maybe you will stick around a bit longer. This is because you are in relationship with guides who love you dearly, who are merely waiting for you to say, I cannot handle this alone. And this is when it is true that you are never given more than you can handle. For you have more assistance, more heavenly assistance and guidance at your beck and call than you can ever imagine. Our words are imbued with more power than this one has ever channeled in the past. For your world is in need of greater power than in the past. Teenagers, many of them more depressed than in the past. Why is this? They feel more isolated than in the past. Your social media has connected you more than ever in the past, and yet it is more fake than ever in the past. This is not reality. This is seeking attention, puffing up, looking good for your friends so that you will feel loved. Where is the one true love that you can trust eternally? Here, dear ones, here, always here, as long as you are breathing and long after this physical body stops breathing, it will be here at the center of you and everyone upon whom you gaze. Gaze in the eyes, not at a small screen that carries lies. Gaze in the eyes of another who is suffering. Do not look away, for their fear and suffering may arouse the same in you. There, but for the grace of God, go I. Yes, but would you understand in that moment that one gaze, eye to eye, soul to soul, heart to heart, can show another who is suffering? This is true love. And it is always here. An arm that is touched, a hand that goes out to help one who is suffering, can keep someone on the planet that might have been ready to leave. And why not leave if it is so beautiful, if you are not judged? For the joy you feel in contrast when you have stood strong and claimed your inheritance as God in a human body, the joy that comes when you say, I could handle it, I did handle it, and now I wish nothing more than my brothers and sisters to feel this love that I have found within me for themselves. That joy is a joy that passes all understanding. Stick around for it, please. We will give it to you. We will help you find that in yourselves if you are willing to turn your back for just 1 minute a day on this physical reality that so many believe is the only reality. Far from it. You may feel you are far from love, far from help. Nothing could be farther from the truth. And so perhaps you are one of those brave souls who chose a body with a chemical or a physical imbalance, and your thoughts alone and your higher choices are not helping. Are you familiar with the word holistic? It means wholeness. You are both human and a soul. Therefore, do not feel ashamed. Do not feel guilty. Do not feel like a failure when you must turn to medication to find balance again, to find clarity again, when you must turn to a counselor, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a helping hand when you need help. This is part of the wholeness. This is the holistic view. But first and foremost, listen to your body. Medications are different for each human being. Just because someone in authority told you to take it, you know your body better than any other. Why is this? For the soul will tell you, not this one. Try another. We will guide you to what will help you in the holistic view. Perhaps eventually you will not need human medications. Take it moment by moment, but please ask to be guided as you take this holistic view to helping yourself, to helping others, to helping humanity. You are all in this together. Our major intention today is that from this moment forward, when you see a vagrant on the street saying, "There but for the grace of God go I." When you see one turning to drugs, alcohol, food, any other thing that numbs the physical senses in order, in a desperate plea to find peace, you say, "There but for the grace of God go I." For this is the human condition. It could happen to all of you. You need not fear this. Open up a clear connection with your source. And we are here. We at the highest levels are here for all of humanity. We may be called Sanaya as we speak through this one, but our membership is made up of those who can help all of you. And all of you have individual guides who are very much like trained counselors. You are never alone. Do not despair. It is the human who despairs. It is the soul who speaks in the still small voice, always within, that is there when you spend 1 minute a day and listen and ask, what is it I need to know now? It is then that you find the hope, the insights, the guidance to move on. It is then that you come to know you matter. It is then that the depression lifts. It is then that you find guidance and insights to overcome mental illness. You may share this recording with a family member who does not yet know these truths if you feel it will help. You are all messengers of hope in this way. Listen within to know how to act and when. You are so very loved. This is what your young adolescents do not understand. You are all their parents. Why do they feel isolated? One body of humanity. You are the arms and legs. All of you are crying out for a hug, to be caressed. It is why you are here. And we come full circle. It is why you are here at this event, to awaken to what the soul already knows. And it is why you are in a body. Use this body wisely. Help one another. Depression and mental illness is rampant for a reason. For so many of you have forgotten. It behooves you all to turn back and within 1 minute a day and remember. We thank you so very much for joining us today. This is an unusual event in which we have announced in advance the topic to be expressed. And it is the first time when we have not taken questions. We wish to end on this note, that the power of this transmission spread within and throughout your energetic field so that you may go forth radiating these truths. You do not need to stand on a roof and shout it out loud. Simply by claiming your soul's wholeness, radiating love, compassion, empathy, and understanding for those at the far ends of the bell curve, and gratitude for those moments when you are in the center. Will you change your world? We thank you so very much for this sacred gathering and for making a difference in our world, one world of which you are so very much a part. Hear us well. You are so very cherished, adored by Spirit, and so very, very loved. We bid you good afternoon. My friends, I spent the whole morning in a state of a little bit of discomfort, really feeling uncomfortable, knowing they were going to talk about a topic that I didn't know a whole lot about. But I knew I could trust Spirit. They've never let me down. And they will never let you down. And I can't thank you enough for joining me and being part of this. All of our collective energy made this possible. I know I'll spend the rest of the day in one of those moods where I just keep wanting to drop to my knees and give thanks for being able to share those words with you. I love you all so much. I hope you heard exactly what you needed. And I'm so grateful because I know together we all are making a difference in our world. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.